Morning everybody, myself Sunil Pawar from New Catholic Mission High Secondary School Jhabwa welcomes you back for the new session of this 12th class biology. As you know that we are continuing the biotechnology, okay. In our previous video we just discussed about the biotechnology, its principles and the methodology by which we perform the recombinant formation of the recombinant DNA, okay. So, in generally we know that what is biotechnology? It is nothing special, it is just a manipulation with the genetic material, okay, in which either by insertion or deletion or correction, okay, of which one thing, or the substitution of the defective gene or the new character, clear, which is responsible to bring a new variety of the organism, okay, which is always in the favor of the human beings or the mankind, no? It's called as thing biotechnology, and the basic theme of this one thing is the recombinant DNA technology, in which we form the new DNA molecule by combining the two different DNA segments is called as recombinant DNA, and this technology is called as recombinant DNA technology, right. So, today we are going to use its real life application, okay. In our day to day life we are going to learn that what are the different uses of this biotechnology, clear. So, now as we know that this biotechnology is useful to humans in producing various products by using microbes, plants, animals and their metabolic machineries, okay. And this become possible due to the recombinant DNA technology, in which valuable and useful manipulation of genes in various living species is done to obtain desirable products at large scale, okay. You know that by using any one of this one according to the need, these microbes or plants or animals, okay, or fungus even, clear, as a source, okay, and by manipulating their genetic material we can obtain a specific product on a large scale, clear. Now, this biotechnology deals with the industrial scale production of the biopharmaceuticals and the biological using genetically modified microbes. Remember, yes, the new term GMO, that is the genetically modified organism. In this one, that is the genetically modified plants, genetically modified microbes, genetically modified animals even, okay. Now, so these microbes, fungi, plants and animals, their application include the therapeutics, diagnostic, genetically modified crops for agriculture, processed food, remediation and the waste treatment and the energy production, okay. So, this all is performed with the help of this biotechnology, with the help of this GMO, what we call that is the genetically modified organisms, clear. So, these are basically used for producing this products on the large scale, clear. So, how this biotechnology, the different steps include, the first one, the providing the best catalyst in the form of the improved organism, usually a microbes or the pure enzyme, clear. You know that by applying the recombinant DNA technology, we first obtain a best variety of the organism which we are going to imply for the production, clear. Now, then the creating optimal condition through the engineering for a catalyst to act, just giving a favorable condition for the working by motivating, by inducing or by supplying the physical as well as the biological conditions, clear. And the downstream processing technologies to purify the protein or organic compounds, okay. So, when we obtain that product on the large scale, but it is in the form of a mixture, then in the third step purification is compulsory, okay. So, by using this downstream processing we are separating out this useful product from this one, okay. Now, here we are going to discuss the biotechnological applications in agriculture. You know that our country is purely based on the agricultural products, okay. It is agro based economy, clear. So, surely we need to improve, enhance, and the just variety of the product and the quality. Okay, so in this one you can see that to feed the increased population of the world, we need to enhance our food production. Okay, so surely this agricultural area or the the area on which we are cultivating is quite restricted in nature. Clear? So on the place of increasing the agricultural land, we are just increasing the production by applying this biotechnological knowledge and its application. Clear? So what is the first one? That is by the agrochemical based agriculture. That means on the place of using the synthetic chemicals, we are using which is the agrochemical. That means which is produced by the plants only. Clear? So that's why it will be eco-friendly, it will not going to destroy and disturb the surrounding, okay, and not multiply the chemical components in the living system. That means the biological magnification. Okay, second, that is the organic agriculture. You know that what is the organic agriculture? If we observe the production of any product or when the agricultural practices perform without utilizing any chemical, okay, likewise the chemical fertilizers, the pesticides or insecticides, okay, or the different what do you say, the growth promoters, okay, or the artificial which one thing, that is the nutrients, okay, we are only using the normal or natural practices in which only and only this organic matter, that means the organic material is utilized there only. Just like that, on the place of the chemical fertilizers we are using manures, okay, on the place of this pesticides, insecticides, we are using the different hormones as well as the plant products, likewise the pesticides made by the neem, oak, akra, okay, like this one thing. So third one, there is a genetically engineered crop based agriculture. Okay, you know that this genetically engineered crop is basically used to improve, enhance and multiply the production of the that variety. Okay, so you know that the green revolution, okay, it is successfully increased the food production manifolded by using the better management practices and use of sorry agrochemicals, fertilizers and pesticides. And the further increase in the production is not possible by using this method. So to overcome this, genetically modified crop is used. Okay, you know that. First, in the earlier half of the this modernization, okay, or to fulfill the requirement of the food material or to achieve the self-sufficiency in the production of the grains and the crops, okay, we just give emphasis on the green revolution. Okay, in this green revolution, you know that by providing, okay, which one thing, the better quality of the seeds, the better irrigation facilities, the better transportation facilities and the proper marketing system as well as the storage system. Okay, so now there is a limit. You cannot increase the production above or beyond this quality or this percentage. So now with the same area, if we want to increase and improve the quantity and the quality of the product, then surely we needed this genetically modified crops. Okay, so this plant, bacteria, fungi and animal whose genes have been altered by the manipulations are called genetically modified organism. Okay, as I told you earlier, these GM plants may have so many applications, just like the made crops more tolerant to abiotic stresses like the cold, drought, salt and heat. Okay, you know that. Sometimes what happened, the crop grow in such a nice way, but because of this climatic condition, okay, or this abiotic stresses, likewise the excessive cold, the excessive drought, okay, or because of the salinity of the soil, okay, and this extra temperature, this may responsible to influence it badly. Clear? So by manipulating it, or by with use of this GMO, we can increase the tolerance of the plant, right? Now, then the reduce reliance on the chemical pesticides. Clear? We should reduce the use of the chemical fertilizers and the pesticides. Okay, then help to reduce the post harvest losses. Clear? Just like that, after the after harvesting this crop, sometime what happened, because of a fungal infection, okay, or because of this humidity, or because of excessive dryness of the vegetables and the crops and the grains, okay, we are going to lose such a big part of the product. Okay, so by using this one thing, we can reduce the post harvest losses. Clear? Then the increase efficiency of the mineral used by the plants. Okay, you know that there are two type of nutrients, macro and micronutrients. So by knowing about the quantity of these micronutrients, okay, and by increasing or inducing the catabolic activities or the metabolic activities of the plant, we can increase the efficiency of these plants by using these minerals. Then enhance nutritional value of the food. Just like that example, vitamin A enriched rice, what we call that the golden rice, is produced now. Okay. Similarly, we can also increase the quality of the product, okay, or even because of this GMO. Just like that, I hope so you know about the triticale. Okay, this triticale is the variety which we develop by the mixing of this black mustard, what you call that is the rye and the wheat. Okay, so which is not only having the carbohydrate but also having the proteinous content in it. So this way we can increase and enhance the quality of the product, right? Now, the application of the biotechnology in the production of the pest resistant plants. This is very important, because you know that the biggest harm which caused to the crop because of these pests. Okay, and see that there are two types of loss or the effect. One, that is this pest is responsible to cause harm to the crop. Okay, and second thing, the chemical pesticides which we use in the higher concentration to destroy this pest or to control this pest, okay, they are not only responsible to increase the use, as well as they are responsible for biological introduction and the biological magnification of these chemicals in the living system, as well as they are also responsible to grow the erosion of the soil. Okay, they are responsible to change the chemical nature of the soil. Okay, and they are responsible to kill the natural fertilizers, you can say the biofertilizer, like this worms, okay, as well as the microbes which is present where in the soil. As well, we are also polluting the water resources by this excessive use of these pesticides. Clear? So that's why if we are growing the new variety of the plant which is self-resisted or the auto-resisted against this kind of pesticides. Okay, so how we can obtain this one thing? Just like that, the pest resistant plants decreases the amount of pesticides used, and this Bt toxin is produced by a bacterium called Bacillus thuringiensis. Okay, thuringiensis. Okay, so this Bt toxin gene has been cloned from the bacteria and been expressed in plants to provide the resistance to insects without the need for insecticides, and in effect created a biopesticides. Okay, for example, the Bt cotton, Bt corn, rice, tomato, potato, and the soybean also. Clear? So what we did, we just extracted and selected and extracted a suitable gene which is responsible to produce this Bt toxin from a bacterium, that is the Bacillus thuringiensis. Okay, and then later it is now implanted in the this crop, whether it is the corn, rice, tomato, potato, soybean, or the cotton. Okay, so that's why it is called as Bt crop. Okay, and this way they self-resisted against this kind of pest. Okay, so there is no need of any kind of pesticides to kill this kind of pest. Right, now here we are going to discuss the Bt cotton. So this bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis, okay, it produces the proteins that kill the certain insects like the Lepidopterans, okay, Coleopterans, okay, that are the beetles, and the Diapterans, that are the flies and the mosquitoes. Okay, this Bacillus thuringiensis, it produces actually a crystals that contain a toxic insecticidal protein. Okay, and this toxic protein present in bacterium as inactive protoxins, but as soon as insect ingested the active form due to the alkaline pH of gut, it converted into an active form of toxins and bind to surface of the mid-gut epithelial cells and create the pores that causes the cell swelling and lysis and the eventually death of the insect. Clear? What is the mechanism and the working of this toxin? Actually, this toxin or this protein is produced in the crystal form by this bacteria. Okay, and this toxic protein, when ingested by this mosquitoes or the beetles, okay, then when it produces, it was in the which form? Inactive form. But when it goes in the midgut, then because of this alkaline nature of the medium, okay, it turns into the activated form, and its activation is responsible for binding the surface of the midgut epithelial cells, and they are responsible for making of the pores and this one thing. So that's why this cell swelling and the lysis, and that is the reason behind the death of that insects. Clear? So this way it works actually. The gene from the B thuringiensis has been incorporated into the several crop plants like cotton, maize, rice, okay, and the toxin is coded by a gene named the CRY, okay, CRY, and the protein coded by the gene CRY is gene CRY1AB and the CRY2AB control the cotton bollworms, CRY1AB controls the corn borer. Okay, so this different proteins is responsible to contain the different chemicals to control the different kind of infections and the impacts. Clear? So here how this pest resistant plants is actually produced and what are this one thing. Clear? This several nematodes infect a wide variety of the plants and animals including the human beings also. Okay, so this nematode like the meloid gines and the incognitia, the infects the roots of the tobacco plants and causes the reduction in yield. Okay, and the infestation of these nematodes can be prevented by the process of RNA interference, which is denoted by RNAi. Okay, interference means one who is responsible to interfere the others. Okay, so this RNA interference is present in all eukaryotic organism as cellular defense by the silencing of the specific mRNA, okay, due to the complementary double stranded RNA molecule that bind to and prevent the translation of the mRNA. This is called as the gene silencing. That means the translation, okay, it allows the transcription but it restricts the translation. That means the translation of the genetic code in the form of the polypeptide chain or the protein synthesis, okay, it is actually restricted and stopped by this one thing. Clear? So actually what happened, this kind of RNA interference is there which is responsible to work with this mRNA and stop to produce its protein. Clear? So this source of complementary double stranded RNA may be from an infection by viruses having RNA genomes or mobile genetic elements that replicate through the RNA intermediates, right? So this nematode specific genes were introduced into the host plant using the agrobacterium vectors, and the parasite could not survive in a transgenic host expressing the specific interfering RNA. Clear? Similarly, like that Bt cotton or the Bt toxin gene, here we are also extracting this gene from this which one thing, nematode, and later it implemented or it just fixed in the body of the plants or animal where they are responsible to restrict the impact of this one thing. How we can perform this RNA interference processing, clear? So first of all, as you know that this double stranded RNA which binds to a protein complex, that is the by the cleavaging, the double stranded RNA. See, this is the double stranded RNA. So which is responsible to cleavage of the double stranded RNA into the smaller fragments. Okay, so these two strands is divided into small fragments by the impact of this chemical, clear? Then one of the RNA strands is isolated into another protein complex, okay, and then what happened? Then this protein complex links to the messenger RNA by the base pairing, clear? Now what happened? This strand will attain a combination with this one. So this way what happened? The RNA is cleaved and destroyed. That means whatever the complete information which located on this mRNA is now finally turns into the small fragments. So it is unable to decode in the form of a complete polypeptide chain or the protein, and this way we can see that there is no protein can be produced by this one thing. So there is no effect on this one, clear? So this way this gene will be silenced. That means that gene is present, but because of this RNA interference we make it unable to produce the proteins. Because of this interference is responsible to stop the process of translation by cleavage, okay, and it will divide that double stranded RNA into small fragments, which is responsible to divide this RNA into small segments and which is further unable to produce the protein. So this is the mechanism of this RNA interference, clear? Now here we are going to discuss the genetically engineered insulin. You know that this insulin is the hormone which is basically produced by the islets of Langerhans in the pancreatic cells, clear? And you know that what is the function of this insulin? This insulin is responsible to control the blood sugar level of the human beings, okay? So actually there is a defect of this gene and then it is unable to produce this insulin, okay? So to control this blood sugar level we need to introduce this insulin from outside the body, okay, then only it can work and control the blood sugar level there only, clear? But we can manage and the production of this insulin, okay, you know that earlier this insulin was extracted by slaughtering the animals like the horse, the pig, the goat, the cow, okay, and from their blood this insulin was extracted. But now these days we are producing this insulin in the bacteria in the laboratory, and on the large scale we are sampling it in the form of the vials, okay. So this is the best method, and you can say it is a good service of the biotechnology for the welfare of the human beings, okay. You can see that here what is the problem with this insulin? Actually this insulin is produced in the form of the proinsulin. Here in this diagram you can see that, clear? There are actually these B cell peptides are there, okay, and which is responsible to stop the working of this proinsulin, clear? So here you can see that these two disulfide bonds are there which is responsible to combine this two one, okay. So we need to cleave out this free peptides, then only you will get this two portion to produce the insulin, clear? So what you observe, the adult onset diabetes can be controlled by taking the insulin at the regular intervals, okay, and the main source of this insulin was the isolation of the insulin from the animals by slaughtering them, okay. But nowadays insulin can be obtained by the bacterium using the techniques of the biotechnology, okay. So this day what was the insulin which we are producing is called as humulin, clear? How it is produced actually? For this production of this one, okay, and also one more thing, the insulin which was earlier extracted or obtained from these other animals, it may be considered as an allergens. That means they are allergy causing agents too. Okay, so sometimes it may cause problem for the diabetic person too. Okay, so this insulin actually consists of the two short polypeptide chains, chain A and chain B. Okay, and as I told you, they are linked with these two disulfide bonds as a bridges. Clear? So earlier, when we want to synthesize it, then it needs a it was synthesized in the form of the prohormones, which contain an extra stage strain, that is called the C peptide. Okay, which is absent in the mature one. Okay, in this mature one you can't see this C peptide chain. Okay, so first of all, we are having the main challenge for the production of insulin, that is using recombinant DNA technology, was which one? That is getting insulin assembled in a matured form. Okay, in the raw form we can produce directly by this gene, but we need to convert it into the mature or the active form. Okay, so for this purpose, what to do? In human, insulin is synthesized as a prohormone which contain an extra stage called C peptide, which is absent in the mature insulin. Clear? So the main challenge for the production of this insulin using recombinant DNA technology was getting insulin assembled into a mature form, right? So this American company Eli Lilly, okay, in 1983, they prepared the two DNA sequences corresponding to A and B chain of the human insulin and introduced them in the plasmids of E. coli to produce the insulin chain. That means what? Just to obtain A and B chain, okay, they produce their complementary chain separately and then they later introduce together and they obtain the same gene where in the E. coli cell. Okay, they actually recombine this insulin portion, the portion of this DNA with the plasmid. Okay, and later on by creating this disulfide bond to form the human insulin, which you call the humulin. Okay, you can see this diagram here, which is given diagrammatic presentation of the production of this insulin. Okay, you can see that this ATG and TAG, okay, this synthetic alpha chain or the A chain, okay, which is having nearly 63 nucleotides, while here this beta chain or the B chain, which is having nearly 90 nucleotide, it synthesized where in the laboratory. Clear? Then this A chain and B chain is introduced in the plasmid, okay, by using this endonucleases enzyme and the ligase enzyme to cut and fix there. Okay, so this way we are having this BGLT methionine alpha chain and this methionine beta chain. Clear? Then by using this cleave methionine residues with the which one thing cyanogen bromide, we just separated this methionine group and now we are having which one thing, this A chain and B chain. Now this A chain and B chain is combined, okay, and here this disulfide bridge or the bonds is also developed, which is responsible to produce this insulin. Okay, so this way we get succeeded to produce this insulin, right? Now here we are having the recombinant vaccine. One of the most important application of this biotechnology is the production of this recombinant vaccine. Okay, you know that earlier how we produce, or what do you say, that is the traditional vaccine which produced earlier. Okay, the traditional vaccine actually contain a very small quantity in a regulated manner of the cause itself, okay, and then later it was kept in the non-functioning state. Then later on it was when introduced in the person, then they will acted and create the which one thing, that is the resistance in the body. Okay, this was the functioning of the earlier vaccine, but sometime what happened, because of malhandling and because of non-proper working of this one thing, or sometime it may increases in the number because of not maintaining the physical condition. Clear? It was created the problem of disease itself. Okay, so now this new era vaccine, okay, that is called as the recombinant vaccine. So this recombinant vaccine, the vaccine produced through the genetic engineering methods are called the recombinant vaccines, or what we call that the second generation vaccines. Why we are calling it the second generation vaccine? You know very well that because the first vaccine which we obtained from that cause only is called as the first generation vaccine. Clear? And now they have the gene inserts for the surface protein of a pathogen that elicit the immunity but do not result in infection. Okay, because these are not the complete organism. Here we are using only a part of their DNA in the form of that influencing gene. So that's why it is not going to manipulate, increasing and affect the living being. Okay. Now this plasmids are inserted in the bacteria or the yeast cell that express the viral proteins which are then injected into the human host as vaccine. Clear? So on the place of injecting that organism, we have to introduce this genes in the plasmids of a bacteria or yeast, okay, and then allow them to express. Clear? So when this protein is produces, then they were collected in the form of the vaccine or can utilize in the form of the vaccines, okay, and they are recognized as the foreign and an immune response is elicited, okay, and this recombinant hepatitis B vaccine and the polio vaccines are the examples of the recombinant DNA vaccines. Remember, this DNA vaccine or this recombinant vaccines are the second generation vaccine which is quite foolproof, okay, which is quite effective, okay, and which it is damn sure that they are not going to infect and disease that person, okay. Now next one very important application, that is the gene therapy, okay. So it is a collection of the methods that allow correction of a gene defect that has been diagnosed in a child or embryo, okay. So this method is applied in a person with a hereditary disease, okay, and in this method the genes are inserted into a person's cell and tissues to treat a disease, okay. That means on the place of using medicine, we are actually creating the impact of that defected gene by using a healthy gene, okay, by introducing it in the cell. Clear? Now the correction of this gene defect involves delivery of a normal gene into the individual or the embryo to take over the function of and compensate for non-functional gene. Okay, suppose that there is a defective gene, okay, or a defective part of the chromosome in the cell, okay, or it is non-functioning in nature when it is present there. So there is no outcome of this gene, or there is somewhat wrong outcome of this gene. So that's why we need to correct it. And how can we correct? Neither by replacing or not by changing it. Clear? But just by introducing a healthy gene, okay. When this gene will introduce in the cell, then this gene will act as a normal gene and it will responsible for giving the right outcome of that cell, right? So this is the way. So the first clinical gene therapy was done in 1990 to a 4-year-old girl with the adenosine deaminase enzyme deficiency disease, okay. So this disorder is caused due to the deletion of the gene for adenosine deaminase that is essential for immune system to function, okay. And this defect can be treated by enzyme replacement therapy, so in which the functional this ADA is given to the patient by injection or the bone marrow transplantation, okay. So how efficiently it was treated with the help of this gene therapy. So how we can perform this one thing? We can learn in gene therapy method, the lymphocytes from the blood of the patients are grown in culture medium outside the body. So first you need to bring this lysosome, this lymphocytes outside the body, okay, and then a functional DNA, ADA complementary DNA is then introduced in these lymphocytes and returned to the patient. That means what? You have to bring out the lymphocytes and you have to take a healthy complementary DNA for the production of ADA, and you have to introduce in this lymphocytic cell, and then again by multiplying them reinserted into the that person. Okay, so in this matter the periodic infusion of such genetically engineered lymphocytes is needed. Okay, and if gene isolated from bone marrow cell producing ADA is introduced into cells at early embryonic stage, okay, and it could be a permanent cure in nature, because that gene will be the part of that cell and later on it will be produces normally. Okay, so in this diagram you can see it clearly. So what we did, see that from this this person we removed the lymphocytic cell from the body, okay, outside this one thing, and we kept in the cultural medium. Okay, then from the which one thing outside, okay, in the laboratory what we did, a virus is which one thing altered so that it cannot reproduce. Clear? Then what happened, a gene is inserted into the virus. Which gene? Which is responsible, that is a complementary DNA segment for the synthesis of ADA. Clear? Now this gene is introduced in this which one thing virus, and this virus is now introduced into the lymphocytic cell. Clear? And then we allowed to this cell from the patient become the genetically altered, because this one is not having that nucleus and now it is having that nucleus along with this altered gene. Okay, and then by cultivating or by culturing them in the form of this monoclonal body, okay, is entered into this infected person or that patient, and the altered cells are injected into the patient regularly up to a certain impact will created by them, till that in a random way or in a periodically they introduce to increase the number of this one thing, and we can observe that they are going to produce the ADA, okay, and it will be cured by this one thing. So this is the gene therapy by which a person can be cured. Okay, then here this biotechnology is also used for the molecular diagnosis. Clear? So as we know that this conventional method of diagnosis such as serum or the urine analysis is not able to early detection of the disease causing pathogens or the viruses. Only you can detect them after their impact, when they start to show their effect or when they multiply themselves in a specific number. Okay, so the following methods can be used to diagnose earlier: the recombinant DNA technology, the polymerase chain reaction, and the enzyme linked immunosorbent assay, that is the ELISA. Clear? Even this ELISA is also used to determine the AIDS also. Okay, so what is it? The symptoms of the disease appears only when the concentration of the pathogen get increased significantly, and the low concentration of the bacteria and virus can be detected by amplification of the nucleic acid by the PCR. Okay, so it detects the mutation in the gene in cancer patient, and this PCR is routinely used to detect the HIV in suspected AIDS patient, and this genetic disorder can be also be detected by using the PCR technique. Clear? So by obtaining this defected gene or this one outside the body or in the cell, by performing this PCR we can find out. Okay, a single stranded DNA or RNA having this radioactive molecule is allowed to hybridize to its complementary DNA in a clone of cells, followed by the detection using the autoradiography. Okay, the clone having the muted gene will not appear on the photographic film. Okay, you know that each and every gene and the part of the DNA having its affected portion. Okay, so earlier when we treated with them this radio which I think radioactive substances, okay, and if any one of get mutant, then while we are observing them on a photographic plate, then this mutant gene will not respond to give its appearance because of not labeled with the radio or the radiations. Okay, now this ELISA is based on the principle of the antigen antibody interaction. Okay, the infection by pathogen can be detected by the presence of antigens like the proteins, okay, glycoproteins, etc., or by the detecting the antibodies synthesized against the pathogen. Clear? So this way you know that for a specific antigen a specific antibody is produced. So by observing the production and the interaction with these two, we can identify them. Clear? We are also using this biotechnology for the forming of this transgenic animals. In this one, what happened? The animals that have had their DNA manipulated to possess and express a foreign gene are known as transgenic animals. That means the animal or the organism, especially here we are talking about the animals. So the animal whose genetic material is manipulated, okay, and transformed in the new form is called as transgenic animal. So this transgenic mice, rat, rabbit, pigs, sheep, cows and fish have been produced, and the common reason for development of this transgenic animal is basically this one thing. Clear? So you know that nearly more than 40% transgenic animals are mice. Okay. Now, so what is the purpose of growing them? The normal physiology and development, right? So what happened? They are designed to allow the study of the gene regulation, their effect on normal function of the body, okay, and by introducing these genes from other species that alter the formation of these factors and studying its biological effect that results. Okay. So suppose that if you want to know about the effect of the genes or what production is produced by them and what impact can be made by on an organism, so by introducing this gene in the organism, by converting them into transgenic organism, we can study about their effects, right? Then the study of the disease, how can we perform? A number of transgenic animals are designed to increase our understanding of how genes contribute to the development of the disease. Clear? Then the investigation of the new treatments for the disease is made possible because we know about the action of this gene, okay, and this transgenic model has been developed for the disease like the cancer, cystic fibrosis, Alzheimer's, this kind of diseases which is quite threatening for the human beings. Okay. So the study of the disease is possible with the help of this transgenic animals. Now this biological products too. Okay. So the transgenic animals that produce useful biological product can be created by the introduction of the portion of DNA which codes for a particular product such as human protein, likewise this alpha 1 antitrypsin which is used to treat the emphysema. Okay. The first transgenic cow, Rosie, it produced the human protein enriched milk having the alpha lactalbumin that is nearly containing 2.4 gram per liter in 1987, and this milk actually contained the human alpha lactalbumin, okay, and was nutritionally a more balanced product for the human basis than the cow's milk. Okay. Then so see that it is more impactful even than the mother's milk too. Okay. Now the vaccine safety. The transgenic mice are developed for the use in testing the safety of the vaccine before they are used on human. Likewise this polio vaccine was tested on the transgenic mice and then on monkey. Okay. This transgenic monkeys and the this rates or the mice is having the human nature because of this transgenic formation. Okay. Now the chemical safety testing. The transgenic animals are made that carry genes which make them more sensitive to the toxic substances than non-transgenic animals, and it gives us the result in less time. Clear? So for the chemical safety testing on the place of directly applying on the human beings, we can first test them on this transgenic animals. Okay, so which so we can obtain result in a very less time. Clear? Now some ethical issues are also related with this biotechnology and this transgenic organisms too. Clear? This manipulation of living organism by human race can be unethical and should not go on unregulated. Okay. So the genetic modification of the organisms can have unpredictable results also, and when such organisms are introduced into the ecosystem. Clear? So the modification or the uses of the living organism for the public services has also created problems with the patents granted for the same. Therefore, there is a need for some ethical standards that are used to regulate our activities in relation to biological world are called bioethics. Okay, so we should have the ethical values also. Okay, now the Indian government has set up the organizations such as GEAC, that is Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, which will make decisions regarding the validity of the genetically modified research and the safety of introducing GM organism for the public services. I think so. You remember that few years back this BT brinjal was not allowed to grow, produce and sell in the Indian market, which was developed by the foreign countries, okay, only because of this ethical issues. Clear? So here the next term, there is a biopatent. Okay, a patent is the right granted by a government to an inventor to prevent others from the making commercial use of his invention. That is most important fact. Okay, so now patents are granted for the biological entities and for products derived from the biological resources. It's called as the biopatent. That means that person will have a complete ownership over the use of that whole product or the part of it product. Okay, no one can utilize it directly or indirectly for its own purposes. Clear? Next one, that is the biopiracy. That means the biopatent is actually restricted the product, that bioproduct for the use of the unauthorized use. Okay, now this biopiracy, so it is a term used to refer to the use of bioresources by the multinational companies and other organizations without the proper authorization from the countries and people concerned without the compensatory payment. Okay, so this biopiracy is quite helpful to restrict the which one thing, that is the what you say, the economic exploitation. Okay, in 1997 an American company got patent right on basmati rice through the US Patent and Trademark Office. Okay, so this allowed the company to sell a new variety of basmati in the US and abroad, and this new variety of basmati had actually been derived from the Indian farmers varieties. So Indian basmati was crossed with the semi-dwarf varieties and claimed as an invention or a novelty. So actually, what was the base of production of this new variety? The Indian basmati variety. The native variety of the basmati rice from the India is actually utilized by the American company to produce the new one. So that's why it was further restricted, and this biopatent was cancelled because of this new law of this biopiracy. Okay, the several attempts have also been made to patent uses, products and processes based on the Indian traditional herbal medicines like the turmeric and the neem. This is the natural product. So this whole worldwide, actually the worldwide need to first identify the source, whether it is natural or man-made. Okay, and then need to patent them. Clear? So this all about the biotechnology and its application. Okay, this is one of the important topic for your examination point of view. Clear? So prepare a proper note by using this PDF also, and learn well. Okay, either in the form of the very short answer or the short answer. Surely a question will be there for your final examination. Okay, so keep reading, keep studying. All the very best. Thank you.